the past few years, what has changed in home insurance in general?
One of the biggest things is going to be your deductible, because that's going to be the most impactful difference, because it's affecting your pockets, right? So a 1% deductible in the DFW area is extremely hard to obtain. I don't have any carriers that are doing a 1% deductible in DFW. So if you've got a $300,000 insurance policy, your 1% deductible is $3,000. Now it's $6,000.
So I think a lot of people would be surprised that that you're essentially doubling your deductible.
Yeah.
I mean, now it's like bragging rights. If you got a 1% deductible,
It is, yeah, it
it's
really
kind of
is.
like people with 3% interest rates. Like, yeah, I got this. Like, I don't want to give it up.
A lot of times, carriers are very selective on what counties they want to do business in, because of the amount of people that are moving into DFW, rapid growing population. And if they get too many policies in one area, that area gets hit with, heaven forbid, a tornado, something crazy happens, they're going to be on the hook for a lot of money, right? So a lot of times they will hit capacity in a market, and not accept any new business and kind of focus on the book and the clients they have, so that they would be able to pay out the claims that they're supposed to, instead of just taking in all the new business that they can, and kind of protecting themselves in that way, because we have seen a lot more natural disasters happening.
So you mentioned the changes in deductibles. 2%. Are there any other different types of deductibles now that may be more advantageous for someone to look at? Besides a percentage deductible, is there kind of a flat rate deductible?
There is a flat rate deductible for your all other perils. So that would be things like water damage, really anything that's not wind and hail. Wind and hail is a percentage deductible in Texas.
Most of the time, people, when they have to make a claim on their home, it's roof, And so I know from a real estate perspective, we've had to pivot on how we direct our clients, that we need to get those insurance quotes during our option period.
Absolutely.
Because we may get an area, like you said, where it's hard to find a carrier.
Mm-hmm.
And then that deductible, those rates, those premiums could be a lot higher.
Mm-hmm.
And there's no out after option period because our insurance quotes are too high.
Yeah.
And so we have to make sure that we're doing that ahead of time. Have you seen differences in the way companies are insuring roofs? What does a buyer need to know of a property regarding the roof before they move forward?
Actual cash value is something that is becoming more and more prominent in insurance in DFW, because once you get to that 10-year range in DFW and then a hailstorm hits, you're likely going to have some damage. An insurance carrier doesn't want to take on a new client that's got a 12, 13, 15-year-old roof at a full replacement cost, because that roof is needing replaced. And then to take on this new client, and let's say a low rate, hailstorm hits in June, they've gotten 3 months of premium from the client. Now they got to pay out $20,000 for a claim. So that's why they'll prorate the roof at cash value. Yeah, and a lot of times that happens. Some carriers 10 years, some carriers 12, some 15. So it really depends on the carrier.
So age of roof is critical.
Huge. And then obviously, a 2024 roof to a 2014 roof, you're talking about a $500 less premium on the 2024 roof already. Not to mention that the other roof is prorated. So let's say they're only covering 70%. You still have to pay that 2% deductible.
And then
the extra 30% that would be tacked on to the insurance company.
Starting point.
Exactly. The insurance is not going to cover the whole thing if it's prorated. So you're talking, you got a $15,000, $20,000 roof claim, your 2% deductible, there you are. And then you got $6,000 left over.
So at what point does a homeowner have to make a decision of, it's, cost-based analysis, where you're going, do I pay out of pocket for this? And I think that's, maybe a goal of insurance companies, like maybe at a certain point, people will just start paying for their own roof.
I'm sure they would love that. Yeah.
I'm sure.
The actual cash value and replacement cost. So replacement cost is you pay your deductible, they pay the rest. Actual cash value is going to be where you pay your deductible, they pay up to the percentage that they said they're going to pay to, and then you're responsible for the remaining amount.
So that percentage base that they're putting, at what point does that start going into place? Again, does that go back to carrier?
Yeah, carrier to carrier, anywhere from 10 to 15 years. After 15 years, it's almost a guarantee. A roof claim isn't as detrimental to your premium because you get a new roof discount. So while you've got a claim on the record, you get a discount with it, but it's also a catastrophic claim. You can't stop hail from hitting your roof, right? So it's not as derogatory on your record as, say, making a claim for the freeze and your power went out and all your food spoiled, and you wanted, $500 from the insurance company to go grocery shopping.
Yeah.
Not a good idea. Throw the food away, go get new food, because that food spoilage claim is going to follow you for 5 years, and it's going to be a claim on your record that you got paid $500 for, and you're going to pay thousands of dollars over that time period for that claim being made. So you really want to make sure that you understand what you're claiming. Now, obviously, if you have to, you have to, right? I get that. But if you can keep from it, I would not recommend those small penny claims, because once you've gotten 2 claims in the past 3 years, you're almost uninsurable with most companies.
2?
2. Now, the ones I'm talking about would be like new roof claim, and then just for, food spoilage claim, and then say water claim, and then another water claim. So you got 3 claims in 5 years. You might be able to get a policy, but they're not going to cover you for water damage. It's like, okay, well, this house has a history of water leaks. We don't want to pay out on something that, this house has a history of. So they might exclude one of the water coverages for you. So usually sudden and accidental, which is like big leaks, comes with most policies. But things like water backup, foundation coverage, seepage and leakage, which is just slow leaks, those could be excluded based on the history of the home and the claims.
Critical if you're shopping for a new home, you go under contract during that option period where you have the unrestricted right to back out, for essentially no reason at all.
Sure.
To get our insurance, get that thing going immediately,
Right away.
to get the quote, have you look into the history and get those, those premium quotes, and hey, this house has a history of water pipe, burst or whatever it is.
Right.
Red flag. That needs to be part of our inspection now.
The inspector for the insurance company is not going to come out until the policy is active.
Wow. So right
they
there
could
just
drop you 2 months into your insurance policy because they say, whoa, this home is in way worse shape than what we thought it was, from what it looks like on paper. You want to have a good roofer that you can depend on, give you a good word, and you want to make sure you understand the coverage that you're signing up for, so that if something does happen, who can I go to? And they're not going to just drop you that day. They're going to say, hey, in 30 days, you're done. So they'll give you your next 30 days to find the next step.
I will say then, because you hit it, critical to make sure you have a roofer that knows what they're doing. I have one that I work with, Tommy Feltz. He's got his adjuster's license, so he at least has another leg up on how this thing works.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
Another thing with the roofer would be if they do come out and knock on the door, say, hey, JD, we can get your roof replaced, and we'll cover your deductible, XYZ, the whole kit and caboodle, right? Sounds great. They come out, you make the claim on your insurance, they give you the whole report. Insurance says, no, your roof's fine. That's a $0 payout claim. That claim still goes on your record.
Oh, wait a minute.
Still goes on your record.
I know.
Yeah.
Because to me, let's say I'm homeowner and I went through that. To me, it's not a claim because I didn't get nothing out of it. So let's talk about the definition of claim.
You express damage in the home. And so the insurance companies, like they want to notate that, right? So it's going to be a $0 payout, but it's going to still say, 8/24/24. You try to make a claim for hail damage. We didn't pay anything, but it's documented that you thought that there was damage. So we're kind of protecting ourselves here that you might have some damage, but not enough for a replacement.
Mm-hmm.
And that's going to affect your next policy.
So it could affect your next policy. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Well, kind of makes sense, but I understand what you said. It doesn't make sense in the grand scheme of things.
Right.
You've got to shop those. I'm going to do it once a year now because, well, one, it's too easy. I call Connor and like, hey, here's the address of the house we need to shop. Take a look.
That's it.
It's a pretty quick process.
The address, the roof age, that's the 2 biggest things.
There you go. There's a reason. There's 2 big reasons that I use Connor. One, no one trusts them. If that's not the biggest thing that we've talked about with roofers and other things, that. The other thing is that he does the shopping for me. I don't have to call Allstate and then call Travelers and then call
There's a
Most
lot.
people don't like that.
Yeah.
And people want convenience now more than ever.
Absolutely.
You want to talk convenience?
Right here.
That's it. Goosehead. It's saving money.